welcome back to Lots of Libby. I'm joined with Andrew, so would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Andrew Coley. I'm a television commentator and presenter. I've been working in motorsport for 25 years. I started as a fan, then I went on to become a rally driver, then a motorsport instructor, and then in the last 10, 15 years, television commentary and presenting. So that's it. That's the short version. I'm
So
guessing we're
you've
going to do
done
the long version.
you've done everything.
That's it. Bye.
So you said you started out as a fan. What got you into motorsport?
So I used to watch F1 with my dad, and I can give my age away a bit here. It was the Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna sort of
Yeah.
era, and it was wicked. Obviously at the time, it was the main motorsport that was on telly. There's so much choice now. Back then, F1 was on, and maybe British touring cars, but there wasn't so much choice in terms of what you watched. And everybody, obviously, with Mansell being at the top of his game, was watching Formula One. So we did that, and I think my parents got the gist of the fact that I really liked cars and motorsport, and I probably drove like a bit of a nutter as well at the time, which is nice, not a good thing. But and they bought me a day at a rally school when I was 19, and that was what really made me think I could get into competing. But prior to that, we went to the British Rallycross Grand Prix at Brands Hatch, which was an event where all the top European drivers came together in November. The weather was normally terrible, but that was amazing. And then we went and watched the London International Rally, which only happened once, and it was on similar stages that were used by other rallies in later years. But the first two cars through were Malcolm Wilson and Ari Vatanen, I think it was, in two Michelin-backed Escort Cosworths. If you look at the Michelin pilot livery, it's the yellow and blue Escort
Yeah.
Cosworth. It's so sick. And they were the first two cars through, and I just remember thinking, "Oh my god, it's so much faster than I thought it would be in the forest. Like it was so fast and so cool." And that was it. I was hooked. So then we go and watch Rally GB, and I got more and more into it, saying I really really wanted to be Colin McRae. McRae was my hero, and I wanted to be Colin McRae, and that was what kind of took me from fan to competitor. Was having that influence at the top of the sport. We were so lucky. We had Colin McRae and Richard Burns in rallying, and we'd had Damon Hill and Nigel Mansell in F1, and it was all sort of around the same era. Motorsport, it felt so big in the UK, and you couldn't help but be inspired by it.
Yeah, I'm so jealous that you got to watch like F1 in that era because obviously I've watched it since I was like 8. So I've witnessed some good eras, but every time my dad talks about that era, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous." Because I watch it on YouTube, I'm like, it just hits so much different. Like,
I think it does. I think obviously F1 now, the coverage is exceptional, and with
yeah,
once since Liberty took over the rights and have been really clever with social media, we see so much more of it. And of course, there's so many more ways to inhale F1. It's across all your socials, and there's shows before it and shows after it and podcasts on it and everything. Whereas back in the day, it was, you tuned in on Sunday afternoon to watch it on BBC Grandstand or whatever, and it was Murray Walker. But as well, you can't hide from the fact it was the noise as well. If you go
yeah,
back to the V10 and the V8 era, and when I was working for Ferrari in the US last year, and we had two F1 cars there, old F1 cars being run by guys who are lucky enough to own those cars once they're finished in F1. And the bridge over the track in Miami for Ferrari Challenge was just packed with people every time they went out holding their phones up. Like it was so epic. And I do miss that. I get it. Obviously, the sport, I work in the sport as long as I do. I totally understand the motivation behind the changes to the engine regulations. It has to be relevant to what manufacturers want. And they don't want V8s and V10s. The fans do. And it was a great era to watch. And also the very special cars. What was Mansell's? There's FW16, the one with the fully active suspension. And it was,
yeah.
yeah, it was before the days of all the cleverness now, but at the time it was the absolute peak. It changed its ride height around the track. I can't even remember how they taught the car the track, 'cause obviously GPS wasn't the same. It was kind of more basic, but even cooler when there was a
Yeah.
funky bit of technology like that. So
I'll
yeah,
actually show you something. Speaking of that, this is
yeah,
my all-time favorite like livery model. It's the Red
wicked,
5, Mansell's Red 5.
wicked. Right, okay, hold on. I'm going to take you.
Honestly, I am obsessed with it. Every time I'm like in a shop and I see something with it, I'm like, no, I'm buying it.
Right, here you go, Libby. You're gonna have to buy this. So this is my office. Look, we're in my office now.
Yeah,
So I've got stuff on the wall here from TV things. And over here, a bunch of Legos. So Star Wars, and that's my wife's because she likes that film. I can't remember
yeah.
what it's called. And then it's Ghostbusters, and then here it is,
Oh
the
my god.
Red 5. the Lego
No,
Red
it's
5.
insane.
It's so sick, isn't it?
Oh
And
my gosh, that's
it's
going on my birthday
absolutely
list.
mega. It's the 14, not the 16. I got the number wrong. And then look, you get a little Nigel Mansell with it.
Oh my god.
So you need to get that. I can't remember where
I
she got it, but she got it online and it was cheaper than you would have thought. So yeah,
yeah,
you got to have one of those.
I do because mine's like this big. I need that. Okay. I'm
It's
gonna
so
add
much
that to
fun,
my
and when
to my
you can
list.
take the engine cover off, and it's got like a little mini top of the engine in it and everything. So I'm a massive Lego fan. I would highly recommend
Yeah.
Lego.
I've got the F1 cars that they do now, but
Yes, they're
that
cool, aren't they?
I need that. Oh my god. Didn't know they did that.
Yeah, honestly, you need to get it, and you can actually get as well if you want to. You can get a retro sticker set online for about 12 quid, which has got all the cigarette advertising and stuff on it. Because obviously they don't do that. Lego can't do that for kids, so they've got like
Yeah.
it's really cool and it's bang on. Like when you're putting it together, the way they put it together is so clever. But yeah, you can buy the one with cigarettes and alcohol and stuff, and you
Yeah,
can put the proper stickers on the car if you want to go full retro. So yeah, it's a very
definitely.
cool. My wife got me that for Christmas, so I always get a bit of
Yes.
Lego at Christmas.
I'm gonna have to look into that because that's so cool. I'm such a
Yeah.
nerd when it comes to that car. I don't know why.
Oh, it's great. I love it. I love it. FW14B, silly
Yeah.
Andrew with his terrible memory.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you've done quite a lot within motorsport. So what kind of drew you to wanting to become a commentator, or did it kind of just like happen?
Yeah, it kind of did really. So I say I mentioned I did some rally driving. I got up to national level. We're not a wealthy family, and unfortunately, motorsport money counts. But we did really well with the budget we had. Got up to national level, I say. But prior even to being at national level, I wanted to test the car somewhere. So I called a rally school, and they were like, "Well, we need an instructor." It was quite an early, rally school.
Yeah.
They hadn't been going very long. Don't know why they thought some kid who hadn't been an instructor might want to be one. And I did that anyway. The instructing side grew to until I was working at places like Brands Hatch and Goodwood and doing manufacturer launches. And with that came a bit of filming. So we did some stuff with Seat, and they were like, it was all teaching owners of Cupras, the high performance Seats at the time they were racing in British touring cars, how the electronic stability program on the car worked. So we did a DVD which invited them to the event, and then one of the instructors had to go on the DVD and explain what we were going to do on the skid pan, and so they asked me to do it. I was like, well, okay, fair enough. And then I was working at Brands Hatch, and we had ITV Good Morning Great Britain or whatever it was called back then come with Dr. Hilary Jones, who I think still is on TV now. And they needed an instructor to teach Dr. Hilary how to be a rally driver. And again, the rally school chose me. I was like, okay. And then BBC Three came with a student who was lazy, and they wanted to liven him up a bit and get a job. And so they got him to be my co-driver. So I drove him flat out around the rally stage with him reading pace notes. And I really enjoyed these little bits of TV that I'd done. I was like, I liked the process. Obviously, I liked driving rally cars, which helped.
Yeah.
But we'd go out and we'd do something. Oh, yeah, we filmed for 3.5 hours, and then the bit on the TV was 2 minutes. But also I did like a half day at Brands. I got paid for the whole day, and the TV crew took me out for lunch afterwards. I'm like, cool, this TV looks wicked.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reality is it's nowhere near as easy or as much fun as that. But I just got a taste of the industry. And then in 2008, when there was a bit of a recession in the UK, a lot of instructing work went away because so much of the instructing work is for corporate events. So when a bank or a big company takes its clients to the circuit, and because they all ran out of money, they stopped doing it. So I was like, well, I'm not getting enough instructing work here. How am I going to pay the
Yeah.
bills? So I got all the little bits of TV that I'd done, and I got a friend who was kind of working on the fringes of TV to put it together on a good old DVD. And I think I got 30 copies of it. I only ever sent about 2 copies out. I sent one to Top Gear, which was ridiculous, but they did reply.
That's insane.
I know they did reply. And the other one I sent to Eurosport. And it took me 6 emails to 3 different people, even to get to the point where I could send them the show reel. I
Yeah.
just kept banging on different doors. And then I went to the interview, and that was how it all started. The interview itself was pretty interesting, but it was, yeah. So, so it wasn't so much that I wanted to. I experienced a bit of it through being an instructor and being
Mhm.
filmed, and I enjoyed it and thought, okay, maybe this could be another line of income alongside instructing. But I don't know that I ever thought I'd be able to make it a full-time job. So yeah, it's been
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That's a cool journey.
Yeah,
Definitely, especially with the Top Gear. That's
I
insane.
know. So they sent me a letter,
Wow.
bless them. It was just obviously, you know what happened with Jeremy Clarkson in the end. There was a falling out between
Yeah.
him and
Yeah.
a producer, allegedly, etc.
Hmm.
And I'd sent them an email saying, "Oh, hi, I don't know if if you're going to make any changes to Top Gear." And they're like, "We haven't got any plans to." And I'm like, why I thought I'd be any good at it, I don't know. But you're just at the time, I was just clutching at straws on what do I do.
Yeah.
I quite liked the idea of being a presenter, but I realised very quickly that lots of presenters are kind of ex-models, or
Mhm.
they've got heritage within the TV industry,
Yeah.
whereas commentators tend to come from a sporting background. And I was like, that's probably more me. So that was another way to sort of swerve around and try
Yeah.
and get into the industry.
Yeah. So, what do you commentate on now, and what is your favourite if you can pick?
Sure, yeah, I can. So I, at the minute, I am lucky enough to do well over the last few years the FIA World Rallycross Championship, which I came back to after a bit of a break because I went to America with Nitro Rallycross, which was incredible as well.
Yeah.
The Isle of Man TT for ITV, which is obviously just an epic event, which I
Mhm.
love. I did a series called Rally X for the last few years as well, which is a slightly lower level rallycross series, which again is great fun. People making their way up the ladder. At the minute, I do Ferrari Challenge over in the
Oh, wow.
USA. I just picked up a new contract this year, which I love, which is the Fat Ice Race. I don't know if you've seen it, and it is just the coolest event. Like I thought, will it be as cool as it looks? It is as cool as it looks. And then I do some voiceover work. So I'm the voice of Subaru's launch control series in the USA. And I did some stuff for Top Gear, actually, ironically, just before Christmas. I put down some voice tracks for them for the commercial side for Land Rover on the Dakar Rally. So there's lots of little things which
Mhm.
allow you to make a living out of it. You know,
Yeah.
I think unless you're doing F1 or MotoGP where there's upwards of 20 events, you do need more than one series if you're going to make a living out of it. But I actually also really enjoy doing a few different things, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
My favourite has to be Rallycross because it was the first gig that was mine. You know, until then I was like covering for another commentator at Eurosport or whatever. But also Rallycross was the first sport that I went and saw at Brands Hatch, you know, with Will Gollop and Pat Duran and things. And then I got into it via I saw in Motorsport News that said that IMG had got the rights to Rallycross and they wanted to shake up the TV and get a commentator or something along those lines who was going to do every event so that the TV coverage felt consistent. I was like, that is a bit of me. So I emailed motorsport at img.com, which was like a catch-all email address, and unbelievably that properly went straight to the head of motorsport, which I didn't think it would. And I got an interview.
Wow.
So I went and did this interview with them and picked up Rallycross. And I suppose because most people know me for Rallycross, it was the sport that I came up with. You know, it changed to a world championship the year after I started with it. And it was like sitting on a rocket. You know, we had Ekstrom, we had Loeb, we had Ken Block, we had Ford and Audi and Peugeot and Volkswagen. You know, we had Peter Solberg and all of those things together. Like it just did this for several years. And yeah, that at the minute is Rallycross is struggling a little bit more. It needs a bit of a reset, which everybody's working really hard on. But it's just such great sport. Like, you know, the races are 4 or 5 minutes long. It's 600 horsepower four-wheel drive
Yeah.
cars. We've gone through the electric era, thankfully, and we're back to making noise now, which I do prefer. I've got to be honest. And it's just a wonderful sport to commentate. You know,
Mhm.
there's as a commentator, you want starts, you want finishes, and you want a bit of action. And with Rallycross, it's just some of the races I get to the end of it, and I'm so out of breath. It's a wonderful sport to commentate. So
Yeah.
it's my favourite for that. Aside from that, I really love the Isle of Man TT because it's
Mhm.
so different and it's such a special event and I'm very lucky to work on that. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had. It's been amazing and still is, luckily.
Yeah. I feel like I'd struggle commentating on Rallycross because every time I've watched it, I am holding my breath the whole way around. I'm like, oh my gosh, like don't, like I don't understand how you can just like talk because I'm like, oh my god, don't do anything crazy.
It's what I don't really understand how I do it either. Like I frequently watch stuff back, and people say to me, "How do you think of what to say?" And you don't really
Yeah.
think. It's almost like a flow of consciousness. Like I'm looking at the screen, I see stuff happen, and my brain goes, "So and so's done that, so and it just comes out my mouth." I don't, there isn't really. Very rarely do I have a think about what I'm going to say. I sometimes have a think about what I'm going to say if someone's going to win a championship because I think you need to have a think about how has their year been, so have a think. Maybe I say if they're going to win a championship, I might have a think about what I'm going to say. But other than that, you just react to what happens, and I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty of live TV is you can't plan for it. You can plan for what's supposed to happen in the hour, like 2 minutes of this, 1 minute
Yeah.
of that, then a graphic, then we're going to race number one, and then someone has a massive crash, and everything gets delayed by 20 minutes, and you just rip it up, throw it out, and everybody's winging it. And of course, you also can't plan. It's not like a movie where you're saying lines or EastEnders. It happens now. You
Mhm.
don't know what's going to happen. You just have to say the words. So it's
Yeah.
great fun. You'd be great at it. Honestly, it's fine. It's the most ludicrous job in the world because if you think about it, it's oh, look at that car's overtaken the other cars. I know, I can see.
Like,
But
no
because
way.
we're a bit excited, people seem to like it. So I think it's a ridiculous job, and I don't let anyone know because I don't want to stop getting paid for it. I think it's
Yeah.
hilarious, really.
Yeah, it's almost like 20% research, 80% just in the moment and
Yeah,
wing it,
yeah,
which is
exactly that.
insane.
It's enthusiasm and energy, and yeah, Murray Walker, bless him. I met him at the Goodwood Festival of Speed at a media day.
Oh,
The
wow.
first time that I was just about to start doing rallycross, and he'd done rallycross before. I said, Murray, I've just got this new job. Have you got any advice? And he said, yeah. He said, do your homework, know your stuff, and don't stop talking. And I was like, what a cool piece of advice from such a legendary man.
Yeah, he is. He was a legend.
Yeah, he is lovely. Yes, well, you know what? He's still a legend, isn't he? Even though he's gone, he's
Always.
still a
Yeah.
legend. So yeah, he's what a guy.
Yeah. So I'm actually really interested in this question because I reckon if I was commentating, I'd struggle with this. So do you find it difficult to stay neutral with drivers, especially if you like prefer one or like prefer a team and maybe like someone's just overtaking them or something? Do you often find it difficult to stay neutral? Because I definitely would.
It can be really hard. So I mean, it's favourites. I don't know. It's so I love a good story. So okay. So let me try and give a bigger picture. The job of a commentator is obviously to stay neutral. So
Yeah.
all of the viewers are watching from all of the different countries. Now, if I'm working for Monster Energy, and I do some events with Monster Energy, clearly the focus is the Monster Energy athletes, and so you have your favourites because you're there to support that thing. In the same way, I've worked for Mercedes Benz F1. Well, at that event,
Mhm.
clearly I'm a Mercedes Benz F1 guy. But when you're a television commentator presenting the sport to the viewers, yes, you should do your best to remain neutral. Is it easy? No.
Mhm.
Sometimes some of the stuff that's going on in the background, something someone said that you're not that happy about. But I always try to present both sides of an argument. If there's been contact and someone's gone off, I will tell it how it is if I think it's someone's fault, even if it's one of your favourites. If it's their
Yeah.
fault, it's their fault. But usually I try to go, well, look, I think he's tried that, and I think he's tried that, and it's up to you guys at home what you think, or the stewards what they think. One thing I don't mind being a bit favouritist about is a good story. So
Mhm.
that can be, yes, of course, it's the British bloke winning at home in the UK, and that's an easy one. And of course, that makes me sound like I'm favouring the Brits, but no, it's the Norwegian guy winning in Norway. It's the
Yeah.
Swedish guy winning his Hollius, the biggest event in the World Championship, arguably, winning in Sweden. It's the fight back. It's the guy who qualified 12th on the back of the second semi-final and fought his way through. It's the Isle of Man TT. It's the rider who's come for the first time and he's cracked 130 miles an hour. It's stories. So I never shy away from a good story because I think the fans like that too. It's the Jamaican bobsleigh team, isn't it? Looking at the Winter Olympics at the minute,
Yeah.
you can be a favourite of theirs. It doesn't even matter if they did well or not back in the day in Calgary. I've actually been to the track as well, and it's wicked to see
Right.
it. So cool. I love that underdog story, and we're so privileged at the minute to be watching the Winter Olympics, which is
Oh, I'm
probably my.
obsessed with it.
Me too. Honestly, I'm
The
totally
figure
obsessed with it.
skating. Oh my god.
The figure skating, did you say?
Yeah,
The
so
American guy, the quad god. I
he's my
know, I
favorite
know.
person ever at the minute. I can't stop watching him. Like I'm on YouTube every night. I'm like Ilya Malinin. Oh my god, he's insane.
And how good is he? And then when it came down to the and that's what's so wonderful about the Olympics is
Yeah.
Formula One's brilliant, as is World Rallycross and the TT and all the rest of it, and the FA Cup and whatever floats your boat. They all happen every year.
Hmm.
But the World Cup in football and the Olympics, the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics are once every 4 years, and that's what makes them so special. Is it's that cycle of not being your best one year, being your best that year, and then when the pressure comes, and you have one moment to shine, that you have to do it. Reminds me of the Eminem song, and it's and you pull it off, and I love it. Like there was the
Yeah.
woman yesterday who won the monobob, I think it was, the American, who's won
Oh,
everything in her career but not the Olympic gold, and she got the Olympic gold. And I love the seeing the emotion on someone's face when the dream comes true. And of course, sadly, your skater, what's his name, the American?
he's called Ilya.
Yes, Ilya.
Oh, I
And
was devastated.
so I was gutted for
Yeah.
him. But it went wrong. It went
Yeah.
wrong. He'd done everything right. Everything was perfect, and then at the
Mhm.
crunch moment, it didn't go right. And now he's obviously the best in the world at the minute.
Yeah.
What does he do in 4 years' time to beat that pressure? And
Yeah.
those are the stories I love telling in
Me
sport.
too.
is where have they been? How did they get here? Or has it been hard? Has it been easy? Can they do it at this crunch moment? And our guy Matt Weston, who won the
Oh
skeleton,
yeah,
epic. You know, two
brilliant.
times a world champion and absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah,
If you can call two tenths, it's close to the
yeah,
skeleton.
yeah,
I love those stories, and you know, it is quite fun being from the UK in the Winter Olympics as well, because we don't get much snow, but we are increasingly getting our hands on some medals at the Winter Olympics, which I love. So yeah, it's been brilliant watching
yeah.
it. I've loved it.
That's the thing, like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love motorsport. It's always been like up there as one of my favourites, but just sport in general, like the stories behind the athletes, the moments when they like achieve their dream or like the comebacks, it just everything about sport is just brilliant.
Honestly, without the stories, it's nothing, is it? Really,
Yeah,
it's just people being impressive at what they do. But it's yeah, as you say, it's the effort that goes into being that impressive.
yeah,
And when you really get into something and you have the privilege to commentate it, like I have at that level, and you talk to people about what they've done to get that good, it's like, okay, wow, you know, the
yeah,
detail, I love it. And yeah, I love seeing that on the TV. It's brilliant.
yeah, yeah. So my next question kind of ties into the one before. So, how do you deal with the pressure of knowing that you're live? Like knowing that everything you say, like you can't edit it out, like you have to say everything right. And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's so the biggest one my friends always think is hilarious is, I must be honest, my language isn't always brilliant when I'm not on air. As my mum will often tell me, and my dad, your language is terrible. But I always say to them, but I've got to get it out before I go on TV, otherwise I'll get
Mhm.
fired.
Yeah,
So luckily I haven't slipped up from that point of view. There is a certain rush from live TV which brings out a performance in you, and when you know you're about to go live, and there's a few little things like the producer will be in your ear, and there's you go 3 minutes, you know. You know, all your papers there, and you're just checking you've got everything, or maybe they're not. If you've had a hectic one, we've had plenty of those where you haven't got everything that you need, and then the clock appears on the screen and it's got a minute or 30 to go and it starts to count down. It's a black graphic and it says what the broadcast is and all the rest of it. You guys don't see it at home.
yeah,
And then it goes 15 and then there's 5 seconds of tone, which is where the audio goes for 5 seconds, which is a check that the audio guys run. And you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then literally the producers in your ear and they're like, and we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it's either they cue you or it's roll titles and then the titles come in, the music comes on, and I'm getting a bit of a rush even describing
yeah,
it. And then the moment at which they're like, it's Q Andrew or Q commentary, and you go, and it's like the pictures are on, and it's such a rush. And I do get nervous. I still get nervous now, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a sign of respect for what you do.
mhm,
You know, that you still respect the craft, if you want to call it that. But it's when you get into the show, it's mega. You know, like the rush of it's absolutely brilliant. And I think that part of that pressure, I enjoy being challenged a bit, you know, whether I don't know, I go swim training, I'm like, right, what time can I do the 100 in today? Or we go skiing and I'll go, I'm not a great skier, but I'll get down something that I didn't think I could get down. And as you get older, you don't get challenged enough, I think, because you've finished learning and you do your job.
yeah,
And that's not the case for me. Like, I'm always learning and always being challenged. That's a great position to be in. You know, it
yeah.
keeps you alive, keeps you bouncy.
No, it does look exciting because I was at Brands Hatch, gosh, sometime last year, I don't know when, for the BMW 116
Yes.
trophy. So I was for that, and the driver briefing was in the broadcasting tower there. And we went up and we were a bit early and they were doing it at that moment. So obviously we had to wait outside and I was looking through the window. They let me look. I was like, oh my gosh. Because there was another race on at the time. I was like, that looks so exciting. Like they were all like jumping. I was like, oh my God, this looks so fun.
Honestly, it's mega. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you do end up. I've ended up jumping around loads. There's quite a well-known video of me on, which is Cape Town Rallycross, where
I've
the
seen
comment.
it.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't know the camera was on, and that was what was so lovely about it. Is it was the camera that we present to, so you know, in between the races, go, oh, hello, welcome to Cape Town, all this, and normally we can't record it, and for whatever reason in Cape Town, which is that race is probably the pinnacle of the most pressure I've ever felt for TV, because the championship would come down to the wire, and I didn't know the camera was on. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're like this. And I always wondered why I go home so tired. And now I know I'm like one of those inflatable blokes
Yeah.
flapping my arm around. But yeah, excitement's mega, you know. And I always try and stand up. If I can't stand up, you know, sometimes I'll kneel on the floor just so that I'm not sitting like this, you know, to open up your chest and just be able to move a bit more. And so like even watching the sport the other day, I'm watching that final run, and I'm like, oh, I have to stand up to watch. I can't sit down to watch it. I get too excited. So. And I've been up in the tower at Brands. It's wonderful. You've got the glass windows the whole way
Yeah.
around. If it's on the Indy circuit, obviously for TV you've got pictures, but I commentate a rally there in January, and it's so much fun, and I
Yeah.
can see practically the whole track. It's such a great vantage point.
It's such a
We
good view.
Yeah, we often used to get the best seat in the house as commentators, but increasingly now they put us in a truck or in a studio somewhere, and we
Mm.
work off pictures. And although it's a bit frustrating at times because you feel like you want to see the action, you have to remember that you are talking about the pictures that the people can see at home. And there's a tendency when you can see out of the window to talk about something you can see that's cool that the director's not following. So it's better to have a studio in the paddock, let's say, with the pictures, and you can do the commentary from there, but then also the drivers can come and join you. And increasingly that's what we do to bring it to life a bit more, is have the drivers come and join us. If you can then get a studio somewhere cool, like right next to the grid or in one of the teams, that's also cool. So TV's evolving quite quickly now with the way the coverage works, and where it goes, and how, what we do with social media. So yeah, it's good fun. It's always changing.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite moment through commentary, and also where's your favorite place that you've been that commentary has taken you?
Oh wow, that's really tough. So the biggest moment is, as we said, the 2019 finale of the World Rallycross Championship in Cape Town. Um, Short version, Timmy Hansen had led for the first half of the year. There'd been a contact between him and Bakkerud back in Abu Dhabi, which was quite acrimonious. And then as the year went on, Timmy, if I can't remember why he didn't make the final in Canada, it was either contact or a technical issue. Bakkerud made it and won. And we were like, as a family within the sport, all the people that work here were like, oh my God, imagine if it goes to France, and it went to France. Imagine if it goes to Latvia, and we're like, it went to Latvia. And then Timmy got fired off in Latvia and did the most incredible comeback drive. And we're like, imagine if it goes to South Africa, and it went to South Africa. Not only that, but they qualified on the front row of the grid together. So they both made their semi-final on the front row. They both won, and they were on the front row of the final of the year, separated by
Wow.
1 point for the World Rallycross Championship. So I think then you can see why I felt the pressure that this must be good. Don't cock it up, Andrew. Like, please don't cock it up. And I've never been so nervous. I felt as nervous as the drivers in the cars did. And what my great friend Hal Ridge, who's another great commentator, he was up there as a journalist at the time, and he said to me afterwards, he said, I felt quite sorry for you. He said, I could see the intense pressure, but it was great. There was contact halfway through the first lap, so we didn't get the mega race, but they ended up equal on points, and Timmy Hansen won the championship on count back, and it
Wow.
was an incredible moment. And it was it it was all of those circumstances that made it that incredible moment. It's not the best race I've ever commentated, definitely, because there was contact halfway around the lap.
Yeah.
That wasn't the point. It was the best moment.
Mhm.
And although that video is wonderful, there's a bit of preamble to it and all the rest of it. If you were there at the time, that was at the end of an hour-long show. We'd already had two semi-finals to get us to that point, and it was brilliant, mate. It was brilliant. So that's the moment. Best place. I couldn't tell you, honestly, and I
Too
mean
many.
that. Yeah, because I've been privileged to go to so many places that I never would have gone. So obviously, I did the European Rallycross Championship, which became the World Rallycross Championship, and that took me to Canada, South America, to Argentina, and to South Africa, if I remember correctly. They were the long haul events.
Wow.
Then I had Porsche Carrera Cup Asia. So with Porsche Carrera Cup Asia, I did China, Japan, Thailand. Where else did we go out there? Australia. I went to Australia for the weekend. Ridiculous. Flew out on Wednesday, landed on Friday, commentated Friday, Saturday, Sunday, flew back Monday morning, was home by Tuesday. And then you see your mates in the pub, and they're like, what have you been up to? I said, I went to Australia last week. And they're like, what? So that was mad. That's the furthest I've ever been. And we went to Sydney Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, a park where a parrot sat on one of our shoulders, Bondi Beach, and then I got on the plane home, like all on the Monday morning after 3 days. It was bonkers, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was fun. Where else have I been? Obviously the ice races now. So the fat ice race in Austria, that was particularly good because I tied it in with a skiing
So
holiday.
cool.
It's so the fat ice race is very cool. I'd followed it on Instagram for a couple of years, and then I got an email or a phone call last year just saying, hi, it's Nico, and I'd worked with her before on another project. She was like, I'm working for Fat International. We're looking for a commentator. Would you be interested? And I'm like, yes, I would be
Yeah.
interested. And of course, you think the event's cool, but there's a lot of nerves around it because, again, I wanted to do a good job. It's a new client. You don't know that many people.
Mhm.
And I went to the event and it was brilliant. They're lovely. The team is so nice. Everybody works so hard. They're all young and enthusiastic. And I worked with a brilliant German commentator, Lucas, and we did it in two languages, English and German.
Oh,
I
nice.
can't speak German, obviously, but he would hand over to me in English, and I'd carry on a bit. And it was brilliant. It is such a fun event. It's all obviously super cool cars. We had exclusives from. Sorry, world exclusives, says the TV commentator. It's easy for me to say. That's what I always say on air if I mess it up. Bentley, Brabus, like it was so many cars from Porsche. It's a wonderful event. You've got to go to that, Libby, next
Yes,
year.
me too.
You do, honestly, and it's easy to get to as well from Salzburg. You can get a train to Zellamsee and then a free transfer from
Yeah,
Zellamsee to the track. So yeah, I love that, and because I love the snow, I've really enjoyed the ice races that we did with Nitro Rallycross as well. Although we never really got the weather, there's
hmm
something special about motorsport and snow together because they're two of
yeah,
my favourite things. So I suppose really, being going places like Japan, I've seen Mount Fuji, being in Shanghai in China, and just experiencing the Eastern culture, which is so different to ours.
yeah,
Um, you don't get to see much of it ever because it's always airport motorway racetrack, but it's still you're still lucky to get to go to those places. And it is also the thing that wears you down. By the end of the year, you are like, I'm done. No more
yeah,
flights. My record is 60, and I know people who do a lot more than that. I
yeah,
did 49 flights last year over 22 events on 24 weekends because some of them went on for more than a week. So yeah, it's the unusual places. I've been in the Sahara Desert with Nissan Motorsport, driven on a frozen lake in Norway. Motorsport has given me so much, and yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
yeah. I definitely need to add that to my bucket list to go to because that's the thing that I love about motorsport. Like, obviously, F1 is like the pinnacle. It's like, yeah, F1, this, but I love the series that no one knows.
Yes,
Like the 116 trophy. Like, the racing's just carnage, and
I
like,
bet it's brilliant.
yeah. So honestly, it was so good last year because I went to every race with a team, and I was doing like my own social media there and a bit for the team, stuff like that. And honestly, like the series that I say, oh, this, and everyone's like, oh, I've never heard of it. I'm like, that's
Good.
the ones you need to watch. Like, those are the good ones. Because, like, I watch all them, and like, I love touring cars and like the mini challenge, and I'll watch them. The racing is incredible, and then I'll go to watch F1. I'm like, yeah, it's good, but it's just not. It's just
I
the racing isn't that good. The
It's not
racing's
when
good.
that's when you get a banger, it's epic, isn't it? You
Yeah,
get a good one, and of course, there's a lot of tactics and a lot of technology. I get why it's the pinnacle, but
yeah,
yeah, people have often said to me, "Oh, do you want to make it to F1?" Now, don't get me wrong. If F1 comes calling, yeah, of course I'd consider it. It's the pinnacle, of course I would.
yeah,
But is it the target? No. Like
mhm,
I'm at the pinnacle of rallycross, and I absolutely bloody love it. It's
yeah,
fantastic. Our racing is insane, and you frequently see in the comments, "Oh my god, this is so good! This is better than F1." Yeah, that's up for discussion, whatever. But they see it and they're like, "Where can I watch this?" And I'm like, it's free on YouTube
yeah,
now. It's gone back there after a little bit of time being elsewhere, and it's brilliant. So yeah, I get it with F1, but
yeah,
it's yeah. You look at the final lap of the Daytona 500. Did you see it?
yeah,
It was insane. It was just a wreck, and then like another massive wreck directly afterwards. So
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of good motorsport out there, and like
mhm,
you have, I would always urge people, especially if they're looking for a career. If you're trying to get a career in F1,
yeah,
that's akin to trying to get a career in the Premier League.
hmm
You can't start there.
no,
It's very unlikely that you will start there. You're going to start somewhere else, and you might work towards that. But again, I've had another phone call this morning with a girl who I talk to quite often who's in the Middle East who wanted some advice on presenting and things. And I said the same to her. I was like, don't make F1 the only thing you're interested in doing. You might get the call to go to F1, you might not. But in the meantime, you can make a lovely living doing something you love with a myriad of other motorsports. There's so much out there, and it's so much easier now for everyone to get involved in it with social media and all the different
yeah.
roles which there are. It was so much more than it was before.
Yeah, because I posted a TikTok it was just such a random TikTok. I made it in like 10 seconds, but it was like, I don't get how people just watch F1 when all this is out there. And it got like, it kind of blew up. And there were so many people
Mega.
commenting saying like, oh, but I don't even know where to watch it. I don't want to pay to watch other stuff. I was like, guys, half of it's streamed for free on YouTube. And they were
Yeah,
like, really? I was like, yeah. Because like, I don't get how people don't know that. So I was
I
like, then
know.
I made another video saying like where you can watch everything. And I was like, perfect. Now we've got more people watching different things.
Yes, and that's got to be the aim, isn't it? To diversify the audience and get them to see
Yeah,
those other motorsports. It's so hard, and I always think when I think how big the World Rallycross Championship was when we had the four manufacturers and all the top drivers in it, and it's the sport's been around for coming up for 60 years. It's
yeah,
been going for a long, long time, and yet people are just discovering it. And I'm like,
yeah,
how do you not know about it? But that, of course, is where F1 trumps everybody else. Is the marketing side of things has been
yes,
brilliant for the longest time. So they have the biggest reach, they have the biggest audiences, and the biggest sponsors, and the biggest paychecks,
yeah,
and the biggest TV deals because it's that one that's so well known. But yeah, you're right. There's plenty of good racing
yes,
out there, which is outside of F1.
definitely. So, what advice, and I know you're probably going to have some pretty good advice as you've already given some, what advice would you give for not just upcoming commentators or people that want to be commentators, but just anyone that wants to work in motorsport?
Sure. So obviously it depends a little bit what you want to do. I think the most important thing initially is go to some events. Just go to events. Like most of those guys in the 116 Trophy or 116 Cup. What is Trophy or Cup?
It's the trophy.
Trophy, the
Yes.
116 Trophy. They're running on a budget. They haven't
Mm,
got tons of money. They're probably preparing the car at home like we did. Some of the top
yeah,
teams will be a bit different, but lots of them will come with a car on a trailer.
yeah,
If you go to that team and you say, you have a quick chat, see if they're friendly, and that you offer to help, they will almost certainly bite your arm off. Like if you said, look, can I cut like you, Libby? If you said, can I come and do a few TikToks around the team this year? I'm trying to grow my social media and I'd love to help grow your social media. They're going to go, yeah, because they
mhm,
probably haven't got anybody doing it. Yeah, if you said, look, can I possibly come and wash the wheels in between the races and you teach me about tyre pressures and tyre selection, they'll go, yeah. Like if you said, "Can I help pack the van at the end of the day?" They're going to go, "Yeah," because they people are desperate for help. Like we had volunteer members on our rally team always, but we would pay their hotel. Like I'm sometimes blessed them, they paid their own hotels. They knew we had no money.
yeah,
We'd go out and then one of them would have bought dinner, and I'd be like, "You shouldn't have done that." They're like, "Yeah, but I know you haven't got any money," and they were right because I was spending it all on motorsport. It was so kind of them. Nick and Will and Dom, shout out to them for all that help back in the day. And so go volunteer on some stuff. You go be a marshal. Go join your local motor club. Go and
mhm,
enter a 12-car rally, and learn about the sport at the grassroots first of all. And then any of those jobs, whether you want to become an engineer or whether you want to become a driver, whether you want to be the manager of the team, whether you want to work in social media as a commentator, as a presenter, you work your way up through it. You're not going to get a job in F1 instantly. So my next door neighbour, Paul Williams, no relation to Williams Grand Prix, is Williams's trackside engineer. So
wow,
he was my next door neighbour when we were kids here in Bexhill-on-Sea. His house backed onto mine, and we played radio control cars together in the garden.
that's so
Um,
fun.
it's mad, isn't it? And we're both at the top of our motorsports in very different areas. Paul is an absolute genius. He talks to me about stuff, and I've been in motorsport 25 years. He talks about stuff. I'm like, wait, sorry, mate, go back a step. And I have to get him to explain it to me because he is at the very top level of engineering in Formula One. But he worked his way up via university. He helped us with the rally team. Again, I've got a photo of him on the wall in the office with our beaten up old Vauxhall Nova back in the day.
Yeah,
And then he went to uni. He did a project with Tony Ricardson, the speedway rider there. Then he got in with Penske, who had a base in Southampton, near where he was at uni. Then he went to America with Penske, worked on their IndyCar and I think on the American Le Mans series as well, and ended up at Formula One. So it's that circuitous route through things. Pick up the phone. One of my old mates, bless him, sadly he's no longer with us, but he was at uni, and he called McLaren and asked to speak to Ron Dennis, who was the team boss at the time.
yeah,
And they were like, no. So then he went online and he looked up who the boss of the testing team was for the junior category, whatever it was at the time, F3, whatever. They had a team in there. So he looked up the name of this person. He called the McLaren back. He was like, hello, can I speak to John Smith or whatever? And they were like, yep. And they put him through. Of
yeah,
course they did, because they weren't expecting that anyone was going to call and ask to speak to the boss of the test team. And
mm,
he got some work experience with the test team.
wow,
Get some work experience. He went on to work for Hyundai World Rally Team, and he would volunteer on rally teams, our rally team, and then above us and above us until he got to the point where, of course, you get paid to go and do it. I mean, even my first work at Eurosport, because they were so unsure whether or not I'd be able to do it, they were like, he said, you had a lovely voice and you clearly know what you're talking about. He said, but no, a nice voice, not lovely. It's definitely not lovely. Nice voice. You clearly know what you're talking about. He said, but you're a million miles away from being a solo TV commentator. And it's like, yeah, you're right. I am. They had no budget to teach me. No, there are no lessons. There is no commentary school. So I said, all right, I'll come and watch somebody else do it for free. Can I come and just sit in the studio? And they were like, yeah, okay. So I went and sat next to somebody with the cans on, listened to the counts
Yeah.
coming from Paris. And then they were like, okay, I'll tell you what, you can come in and you can be the co-commentator on a 26-minute highlight show. You don't need a co-commentator on that, but they knew that. And I went in and I did that for nothing. So up and down to Feltham like 5 times for nothing from down here on the South Coast, just to prove to them that I wasn't a muppet and that I really wanted to do it. And then I got the phone call saying, can you come and do this rally live for us? And the next one, in fact, was live in Monte Carlo for Rally Monte Carlo.
Wow.
But you have to go knocking on the doors. Like, it's people don't come to you and go, here's something really cool, until a bit later in your career. I've been very lucky with things like the Isle of Man TT and the Fat Ice Race, where they've come to me and would wanted me to be a part of it. And there's such wonderful things to be a part of. Yes, of course I do. But the vast majority of the time, you are going to go to them and go, could I do something with you? Could I have a look at this? Could we have a conversation about that?
Yeah.
Keep banging on doors. Don't send someone 10 emails. That's annoying. Send them 2. If they don't reply, try again in 6 months' time. See if you can meet people at racetracks or football stadiums or whatever it is you want to do. Offer to go and do the local commentary down the local football stadium. Start low, keep knocking on doors, and you get a foot in the door in the end, and you can make it work.
Yeah, that's one thing I've found. It's like not what you know, it's who you know,
Network.
especially in
It's
motorsport. Yeah.
massive, massive. So LinkedIn for that is
Yeah.
absolutely huge. I use LinkedIn for that, and I use Instagram for it a certain amount as well. But LinkedIn is a wonderful tool for that. Again, I link in with lots of different people,
Yeah.
and yeah, it gets accepted now because I've been around for a little while. I think people know who you are. It's maybe a bit less easy to get those connections, but I say yes when college kids want to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get an email or a message saying, can you give me some advice on this? And I'll send them a voice note, or I'll even have a call, and just try and give them a little bit of advice, because I know I'd have
Yeah.
loved that when I was trying to do it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you've got to be brave. You've got to reach out to people, and the other thing is be nice, like be kind and work hard, because you have to do that, in my opinion, to get on in life anyway. But also, there's going to become a point where I'm not working at this level. I'm going to come down the other side, and I'm going to meet lots of
Yeah.
the people who I met on the way up. And I hope I wasn't a dick to any of them. Being really honest,
Yeah.
So just be nice. And the same, like, I work in a big team of people on television, and yes, people know who I am because I get to do the talking and stand in front of the camera. I am not the most important person on that team. It is everybody on that team working together. The editors are in before me and they're there after me. The producers and the directors are dealing with a busy truck full of people all doing their best to get it right, and then you're on the point. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure on you as a commentator or presenter, because there's a good producer friend of mine said we are the most exposed people on the team.
Yeah.
So yes, if I'm crap, I'll get messages on social media saying I thought you were crap. Luckily, I don't get that too often. Touch wood.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're very exposed, but you are part of a team, and you must work with that team. And it's little things like carry the tripod for the cameraman. Don't be a rock star. Like, it's unnecessary. If you're lucky enough to get to the point where you're doing this for a living, just make sure you look after the people who are looking after you as well, because you're a big team. It's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember one time I was at Alton Park just for like a random test day. I was not expecting to see anyone cool there. So I just went. I was like, you know what, it's fine. I was walking down the pit lane. I was like, oh my God, it's Daniel Lloyd. I was like, whoa. It took me so long to actually go up and talk to him because I was so like shy.
Yeah, you're nervous.
And then I did some like stuff on my social media with it. And then the next day, Dan Rowbottom was liking some of my stuff. I was like, hold on. I was like, this is
Yeah,
insane. I was like, this is
that's
so cool. And like I've got Dan Lloyd and Rowbottom now on LinkedIn connected with them. So I was like, this is so
exactly.
cool. So I just like I'm so glad because I wasn't gonna do it because I was so shy, but I was like, no, and like people were telling me to. I was like, I'm just gonna go do it. And now it's worked out so well. So
Yeah, you have to be brave sometimes.
yeah.
You have to, and it's the right place and the right time, isn't it? He's at a track doing his job. Yeah, it's fine to approach him.
Yeah.
I'm always, I would, Would I approach a famous person in Tesco's? No. You know,
Yeah.
it's their private. I just don't. You know, and I
Yes.
wouldn't if they were out for dinner either. Like I might, as I walked out, go, I'm a big fan. Take care, and just because you don't want to interrupt their time. But when they're at work and they're doing their thing, and you're just trying to make your way at work as well,
Yeah.
get amongst it. Most of them are lovely. Like you. Most of the people, I think that's the thing is, most of the people that I work with, even at the very highest level of motorsport, are really. They're just normal people. They're just like you and me. They're
Yes.
just doing a really cool job, and
Yes.
and they're normal people. So yeah, don't be afraid to go and talk to them. You'll be all
Yes.
right. It's fine.
Yeah. So my last question, which
Yeah,
is the question that I ask everyone, and usually I ask drivers, so I've had to tailor it a little bit. So if you could be driven round on a hot lap by any driver, like dead or alive, anyone, around any track, who would it be and what track would it be?
it would be Colin McRae, and
Yeah.
it would be on a Welsh rally stage. So it would
You
be
know, that is the quickest answer I've ever heard. Usually
there. You go.
it's
So
like,
I
I'll
mean,
take
if
my
you
dad round.
so and if you'd asked me, which what I suspect the normal question is what would you drive and where? You know,
Yeah.
then I would probably say Colin McRae's Group A in Pretzer on a Welsh rally stage. So it's or a Peugeot 306 Maxi on Spanish tarmac or in Corsica. They're my two favourite rally cars: the Group A Impreza and the 306 Maxi, followed by the 97 Impreza WRC, and then some Group B cars. So yeah, I've got
Yeah.
quite a long list. But it would be that because Colin was such a flamboyant driver, and that particular car which needed manhandling to make it
Mhm.
go quickly. You know, modern rally cars and race cars need to be driven ever so tidily, brake in a straight line, get all the dish and the tyres and the brakes working on entry and exit of all the corners, blah blah blah. Back then it was like bang, 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 bang. You had to turn it in about 4 times, big Scandinavian flicks, cut it across the inside, hang the tail down the ditch.
Yes.
That's what I would have liked. So
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been McRae in the Impressor. There you go.
Well, I'm very glad to have an original answer because it's always, I'll take my dad round because he's done everything and we'll take him around Spa. I'm like, brilliant. It's always the same.
I've had my dad in the passenger seat of my rally car, and he liked it. My mum didn't like it, and neither did my wife, but my dad liked it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's always good fun giving people rides.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast and giving some brilliant answers.
You're welcome, Libby. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.